Technically, all her combat experience comes from Rhodes Island, as her previous work as a mercenary was under one of their branches in Minos. There is an ongoing theory him taking care of Vermeil was the actual intention behind the Sancta who gave everything to her, as a way to let him experience emotions for once. Rhodes wasn't considered as a workplace for her, we were suggested to her. According to her into art pose, her martial arts is likely Wing Chun, a style made famous by Bruce Lee's master, Ip Man. This style is known for being straightforward and counter-based, not so much for the round kicks. Her wildflower skin fixes this though. His rifle fired bolts instead of bullets. Looking at his hip, you can see his quiver. Adding the gas canister on the rifle, we can assume it was similar to Andreana's. All the event stores sell chips of the welfare operator in turn. This is not the case in Dos Soles Holiday though, as the store had specialist chips instead of card chips. This could mean that Tequila's archetype could have been originally taught as part of the specialist branch, but was ultimately changed into a guard. They are based on the Shishi, better known as guardian lion dogs of many temples all over Asia, with Ak resembling more the Chinese version, while Hung looks more in line with the Japanese ones, called Komainu. She is still in contact with Carol. The devs probably wanted to call her Little Archer. Considering her height, it is not hard to see why, as paw prints in the soles of her shoes. Besides the Doctor, there has only been 2 times the player has chosen the dialogue options for other characters, those being Scout and Logos. Penguin Logistic didn't defeat him. Heck, they didn't even scratch him, they merely damaged his top coat. He still congratulates them for managing such a feat. That's how much of a badass he is. Heterochromia is considered an extremely rare eye condition, with merely 1% of the world population having a variation of it, and even less having eyes of 2 whole different colors. Despite this extremely rare rate, Rhodes has 4 operators with full heterochromia among the ranks, those being Arqueto, Asbestos, Nightmare and Rosa, though Asbestos' case could be due to her infection. She studied the blade with Utage in the same dojo, but was nowhere near as good, so she dropped it, turning into a hikikomori. None of the members of Team Rainbow Six have an illustrator listed on their bios. Instead, Ubisoft is listed in their place. This is because, while they do have a designer from Arknights, Ubisoft are the owners of the characters, thus the credit goes to them. The flowers in her E2 art are spider lilies, considered to be related to death and hell in Asian cultures. All 6-star operators considered to be sub-bar have blue as their main color. The CN players dubbed them the Moody Blues due to this reason. He was a member of the Moody Blues, but his operator module brings him out of said group. He's pretty much a national hero in Ring Billiton. She actually doesn't have a blue tongue. She collects the dog tags of those she had dealt with in the past, not out of sadism, mind you, but because, as the proof of their existence, the fact she has them reinforces her own existence. Those who also play Fate Grand Order might already know this, but her voice actress, Risa Tenada, used to be the original voice for MASH, but due to medical reasons she was replaced by the then unknown Rie Takahashi. I bring this up because, as a Yafiala, she calls us Senpai, the same honorific MASH uses with Fate GO's protagonist, making this a cross-game reference from and to the voice actress. Her skin was actually teased during Gabriel's event. That's right, it's her swimsuit. As a good analog to the United States, Colombia has the most variety in their population out of any country known to date. As far as we know, there are Liberi, Forte, Bobure, Bulpo, Salak, Perro, and even Sarkas. The Emperor's Blades as a whole seem to be based on the Prishnik. Wrong ones. There you go. The not-so-secret enforcers of the Tsar's will. She is friends with Dusk, of all people. Also, we don't know yet if she will come to Glover or not. Guess we will find out in a couple of months. She ponders a lot of things in her head, to the point when she speaks her mind, she tells about the results of said pondering, without the context behind them, forcing her to explain the meaning behind her initial words. Personally, I relate a lot to this, so if you see me making little sense from time to time, now you know why. She considers herself, and I quote, pretty hot. Her ear dress thingy makes zero sense as a piece of armor, but you have to consider, Sona was not from a knight family like Ashley or Ivona, neither had she dreamed to become a knight like Justina. She just was a farm girl who had to become a knight out of necessity, thus she doesn't know how to properly arm herself. The headdress is no headdress at all, but the device implanted on her brain in order to interact with computers and process information, as well as the source of her infection. Device number 9. At 1.95 meters, Mountain is the tallest operator in all of Rhodes, while Shao is the shortest non-Durin adult operator at 1.35 meters. Her slow behavior is not related to her race, neither her infection. She was born like this, and her family got her squad of drones to make things easier for her. He's pretty much Terra's version of Edmond Dantes, better known as the Count of Monte Cristo. Both were locked up in prison by rivals, both are looking to take revenge on said rivals. Both are heavily knowledgeable individuals, changed by their time behind bars, but instead of meeting his mentor, Ave Faria, Anthony meets Doma, who seems to play the role of Heidi. Her name, Doma, is probably a simplification of Dumas, the Count's author. The animal he's modeled after is a guppy fish. The fact both Mephisto and Faust have their codenames means there is or was a story similar to that of Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Before joining Rhodes Island for treatment, she was pretty much Terra's version of Tony Hawk's. She was just signing a contract away to becoming a skating celebrity, but some bad blood she had with some local gang resulted in her infection, and the end of said possibility. Besides Frog Snob and Patriot, there has been no in-history explanation behind final bosses having a second stage. She is a white rhinoceros, made as an homage of the now extinct creature from our world. God of Brawl is the only side story where a cinematic-like credits roll at the end of it. She originally was supposed to use her syringe gun for combat. This was removed in development. Some believe she used it for casting arts, but she uses her shield for that. Because of this, to this day, no one knows what the thing is used for. Her codename and weapon was inherited by the one who teach her how to fight. By the way, said weapon are not those massive swords she carries around, but the bayonet-like knife attached to one of them. She hides the fact she is a great swordswoman. In such a balanced way, pretty much everyone knows she is a badass with a sword. She is giving Aya piano lessons. Apparently, it is standard for Alitanians to know how to play at least one instrument. His pet falcon is named after Sherpa Tenzin, the first to reach the top of Mount Everest alongside Sir Edmund Hillary. In Mansfield Prison, inmates are separated by infection status, not by genders. That can be good in the long run. Despite being defeated in Chapter 8, Chapter 9 shows that she holds the best song in the game as her own leitmotif, Tower Fierce, implying that her story is far from over. She is based on Jackie Chan, a Crown of Thorns sea star, or an European urchin. To this day, no one seems to be 100% sure what his animal motif is supposed to be. He has an electrocution fetish. There has been 4 crossovers event in game, those being with Rainbow Six, the World Wildlife Foundation, the 9-colored deer film, and eventually one with Capcom. They are 5 if you count the Chinese exclusive KFC skin collaboration. With almost 3 years since her original introduction into the story, Operator Santala holds the longest record from introduction to playable time in the game, and counting. Every contingency contract had a certified banger as a lobby team, with the only exception being CC Cinder. The reason was that the song contained plagiarized content, thus it had to be scrapped, and a regular song had to be used instead. He speaks in such a strict and formal manner with his father, no one believes they are actually related. Comparing all her sprites, it appears that Cal buffed her mind outfit in order to pass unnoticed in Ursus. There are only 4 operators who share a voice actor and an illustrator, those being Doberman and Blue Poison, voiced by Natsumi Tanesaki and designed by LLC, and the sisters Beeswax and Carnelian, voiced by Eiri Kitamura and designed by Kawaguchi. She is actually investigating penguin logistics for a bigger organization. Who they are and what are they looking for exactly is yet unknown. She has 2 tails, yet that doesn't seem to be related to her infection. She only mentions them once and doesn't elaborate much about them. Vigilo's title and interludes are all in Latin. They mean watch, hope, memory, value, thought, prayer, and pledge. Pancho is not a real name, but the shortened version of one. His actual name should be Francisco Salas. She joined Rhodes by mere chance. The food she makes is terrible, not because she doesn't know how to cook, but because she outright removes anything she deems unhealthy from her recipes. Something as simple as sugar is banned from her ingredients. She's the only one who calls Cardigan by her real name, Mary. While being referred as the Casimir's Major Trilogy, the Pinus Silvestris event is only a midquel. She was pretty much kidnapped into Rhodes by two unknown Lateranians. However, she herself was getting tired of the country, so it worked in her favor. Her eye is covered not only because of her infection, but because there seems to be some kind of arts lying in it. Basis for an altar right there. One of her original slug pets was originally named Vicky. It was later changed to Kuro. The dormitory decoration meant to be its cage was also changed. She carries an oversized, or rather normal-sized, coat with the specific purpose of using it as an impromptu blanket for those moments she wants to take a nap on the spot. Her 4-star battle results sounds like she's praising the doctor while calling them a caveman. But taking into consideration current information, she might be suspicious of their actual background. She is the only robot who isn't heli dropped into the battlefield. She rolls into position. She's based on Jeanne d'Arc, because there aren't enough like her already.